After the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal by the Enforcement Directorate, the Aam Aadmi Party is now saying its party offices have been sealed in the national capital. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. The debate around the impact of Arvind Kejriwal's arrest, the first time a sitting chief minister in India has been arrested, continues. Will this hurt or help brand Kejriwal? Arvind Kejriwal has been remanded to custody for another 7 days. Would the courts intervene to give him bail, or could he spend an extended time in election season behind bars? And what impact might that have, not just on the Aam Aadmi Party's political branding, but also the opposition? Will it re-energize the opposition or give them an even greater sense of defeat? The irony is, of course, missed by nobody. The Aam Aadmi Party, India's newest political party, was birthed by an anti-corruption movement. Arvind Kejriwal and Anna Hazare lashed out at those that they would list as corrupt. Arvind Kejriwal subsequently apologized to many of his political colleagues that he had in fact described as corrupt. Several of those who joined his journey have since left him and either joined a different political movement or gone back to the professions that they came from. Joining me on the program today is one such person. Ashutosh is with us. Let's welcome him to the program now. Ashutosh is somebody who was a colleague of Arvind Kejriwal, knew him extremely well, and has now gone back to the profession he came from into the Aam Aadmi Party, which is journalism. He's, of course, the editor at Satya Hindi. Thank you, Ashutosh. And I've
Thank
been
you.
playing your podcast with me. मतलब बहुत बारी उसमें इतने अच्छे एक्सर्प्ट्स हैं और मैं इस कॉन्वर्सेशन में भी थोड़े से एक्सर्प्ट प्ले करूंगी, लेकिन सबसे पहले आपके इंडियन एक्सप्रेस के पीस से शुरू करते हैं. You had a column in the Indian Express जहां पे आपने कहा this is a crisis of its own making about the Aam Aadmi Party. And you went on to talk about the irony that I also referred to, कि irony देखिए ये एक एंटी करप्शन मूवमेंट थी, आज ये करप्शन के एलिगेशन इन पे लगे हैं जो ये एलिगेशन दूसरों पे लगाते थे. But you also spoke about how somewhere the AAP lost its way. Arvind Kejriwal failed to create a second rung of leadership. We'll come to all of that. Why do you call this? Because you're not known to be a fan of the Modi government. You're a critic of the Modi government very openly. But yet you call this a crisis of the AAP's own making. Why do you call it that?
See, one simple reason is that a political party who came into existence on moral capital, if you start losing that moral capital, then somewhere down the line, you are appropriated by the politics itself. If Aam Aadmi Party had remained Aam Aadmi Party what it was in 2013, 2014, probably Aam Aadmi Party would not have faced this crisis. But it has faced the crisis because it tried to imitate the other traditional conventional political parties. It tried to imitate Bharatiya Janata Party, it tried to imitate Congress Party, it tried to imitate other political parties. And when it tried to imitate other political parties, all the ailments and all the ills of those political parties, they also became the part of the Aam Aadmi Party. And Aam Aadmi Party did not have the institutional memory and the institutional robustness to deal with a crisis like this. BJP and the Congress had been in politics for many decades. They have the institutional framework, they have the leadership, they have the institutional memory. And because of that, if they fall into the crisis, they know how to bounce back. But here is a political party, the classic case, who does not believe into a sense of organization. The whole party is around one person. The name is Arvind Kejriwal. Today, when he is in jail, I'm really worried that how the party is taking decisions, whether the party will go ahead, because none of these leaders have ever worked without Arvind Kejriwal, had never worked autonomous to Arvind Kejriwal, had never worked independently free of Arvind Kejriwal. So how they will work today, it has become very serious in that sense. And don't forget, the two of the top leaders other than Arvind Kejriwal, Manish Sisodiya and Sanjay Singh, who could have worked independently, who had some experience in the politics, acceptability, they are also in jail. So it's a serious crisis which is Aam Aadmi Party is facing. But because of its conduct and the functioning of the last decade, it's very difficult to handle these situations.
Are you calling Arvind Kejriwal a narcissist?
It's a good question in that sense. I think that he, somewhere down the line, yes, he is.
So Arvind Kejriwal has become or is becoming a narcissist, according to you, and that's one of the reasons he is in this situation.
See, many top leaders, why should I blame only Arvind Kejriwal? Many big leaders, they are narcissists because they believe that they have the divine power, or they are destined to do something else, and they will not commit any mistake. And their self-belief is so strong that they became narcissist. So I keep Arvind Kejriwal in that category. And after saying this, I also believe that he's an extremely talented person, and he has a capacity to fight back. There's no doubt about it. But his party is so fragile, and that's where the problem lies. BJP, after losing the battle, after being decimated in 1984, had the resilience to fight back. Can Aam Aadmi Party fight back? It's really a great challenge in that sense.
So hang on. When you say this is the crisis of its own, of the AAP's own making, what you're actually saying is with Arvind Kejriwal behind bars, there's nobody else of caliber in the party who can actually handle the party while he's away.
Yes, that's what I meant.
But what about the charge itself? What about the corruption charge itself? What do you make of that? What about the charge of 100 crores in kickbacks to the Aam Aadmi Party as a political entity?
See, Barkha, as long as I was a journalist, if I had not ventured into politics, probably I would have gone upfront and said these charges are very serious, and there is a lot of substance into it. But after being in politics for 4.5 years, I can tell you, and I can vouch for this, that most of the charges against the political leaders have virtually no substance. The politics in country is so competitive. The investigating agencies at times are so envious that sometimes the charges are cooked up, or they are presented as if there's nobody better than these people, like in terms of criminality. I've followed this case very, very closely, but still I'm not in a position to talk about the merit of the case. Prima facie, it looks that the charges are serious, but whether Arvind Kejriwal has taken money, whether Manish Sisodiya has taken money, whether Sanjay Singh has taken money, I'm not convinced about it. And this I can tell you because I spent some time in politics, because I had seen very, very innocent MLAs going to jail, spending months in jail, and finally nothing came out of charges, and it proved later that all those charges were false. But they had to go through the process, and it was a very, very, very painful process for all of them. So I'm not jumping into the conclusion, and since then, I have taken a very conscious decision not to jump into any such cases where the charges are made to be look very serious.
So you must note the irony of this moment. जब आम आदमी पार्टी की पैदाइश हुई, जब इंडिया अगेंस्ट करप्शन थे, तो कोई ध्यान नहीं देता था कि भाई our politicians, our public figures, do they, sometimes are loose allegations made against them. Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Anna Hazare, everybody on that stage, people who supported that movement, every day would draw out a list of the supposedly corrupt. Arvind Kejriwal had to apologize to most of those politicians. Today, he's in alliance with some of them. बाकियों ने defamation suits डाले, उनको माफी मांगनी पड़ी. Does this put an entire question mark on that India against corruption movement?
I will not say that it puts the entire Anda movement into the question, but yes, it was very carelessly those charges were made, and maybe very innocently those charges were made. And I can tell you that when I was in Aam Aadmi Party for some party work, I had to go and meet the President of India at that point of time, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and I was so embarrassed. Though I had no role into those posters where Pranab Mukherjee's name was there as one of those corrupt leaders, but I was so embarrassed to meet him, because I was thinking that how will I look into his eyes, and because he knew that these are the people before the party were formed had made those frivolous allegations. And now the same political party, the same leaders were going and meeting him. I was not part of that. I was very embarrassed. So that is that this entire process was in a way very carelessly done. But to say that there was no serious charges against Congress party, there were serious charges against Congress party. There absolutely no doubt about it.
No, no, of course they were. But to give
Hmm.
clean sheets, to be like our television channels are today, to decide ki kaun guilty hai, kaun innocent hai, that was the arrogance of the movement.
Yes, that was, and you remember the television channels were very powerful then, and
Yes.
every small charge was presented as if the man is a criminal. You remember Suresh Kalmadi's career is over.
Yeah.
Sashi Tharoor's career was almost over, but he bounced back. That's a different thing altogether. But has anything still been proved? No, nothing has been proved against Sarosh Kalmadi. Even the A Raja, the court has given him clean chit. Nothing happened. But look at the irony. He was in jail for many years, and he must have been traumatized. His family would have been traumatized. I'm not saying that he didn't indulge into the corruption, but finally the court has given him bail. Court has given him clean chit.
Clean
So
sheet.
that is
Yeah.
why I'm not. Since then, in the last 5 years, when I back into the politics, I came back in journalism. I have always maintained the distance that whatever the charges against a political party, be it Aam Aadmi Party, be it Congress or BJP, I am not jumping into the conclusion, and I am not going to present somebody as a criminal till he is proven guilty.
So when you say that this is the crisis of the Aam Aadmi Party's own making, you are not talking about the merits of the case or the allegations. You are talking about how Arvind Kejriwal has evolved as a politician, how he has built his party, and how you believe he has reduced it to one individual himself. Now, there's one more question I have. Mr. Kejriwal had a very unusual governance model. He did not take responsibility for any portfolio, any ministry. Now, there are the cynics who are saying because of this, in this liquor scam, he's actually jeopardized, this is a criticism, his colleagues' careers, because अगर कुछ sign हुआ है तो उन्होंने खुद नहीं किया क्योंकि उनके पास कोई portfolio ही नहीं था. What do you make of that way of functioning?
I don't buy this argument that since Arvind Kejriwal has not taken any department or the portfolio, so he's not responsible for what the ministers have done. The parliamentary system, the whole cabinet system, it is the chief minister and the prime minister who is the fulcrum of the administration.
Yeah.
Nothing moves without him, without his knowledge. And if things are moving without his knowledge, that means he's not a strong leader, or he's not a competent chief minister or the competent prime minister. I'm not here to say that Arvind Kejriwal is not a competent chief minister. He's a very, very competent chief minister. He knows nuts and bolt of the administration. It's a different thing that he did not take any portfolio. But can you imagine that any of his colleagues had taken a decision without taking him in confidence? No, that is impossible. I can tell you from my own experience, it is next to impossible for any minister, be it Manish Sisodiya, be it Atishi Marlena, or anybody. They dare not take a decision without taking him in confidence. So, and he is the coordinating minister in that sense. So to say that just because he has not signed on a paper, he can be absolved from any responsibility, I don't buy that argument. If there is a problem with excise policy, then Arvind Kejriwal has to share the blame. It is proved in the court of law. Whether I believe in that, whether he has indulged into corruption, no, I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that if the ministers have done something wrong, responsibility also lies with the chief minister. Whether it is
Now,
proven, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you're saying whether or not he signed anything, whether or not he's taken a portfolio responsibility, eventually that trail will lead back to him if it's proven to be the case. Now, you spoke about being embarrassed when you met Pranab Mukherjee. His daughter Sharmishta, who's no longer with the Congress party, she tweeted, Arvind Kejriwal and the Anna Hazare gang were responsible for making the most irresponsible, baseless, and wild allegations, including against Sheila Dikshit. Kejriwal said he had trunk loads of evidence against her. No one has seen the trunk. Karma has caught up with Kejriwal. बहुत से लोग, will say that today.
Sharmishta using the word gang.
Yes.
From where this word is coming. Before 2014, people and the journalists and the politicians, they never used to call each other the member of a gang. So you know from where it is coming. That's in the lighter vein. Yes, those who are involved into that movement, they need to do a lot of explaining. That on what basis they had accused so many politicians of the country and so many things. And forget about that. Look, what were the ideals at that point of time? The democracy, the accountability, the transparency, and Ala Kaman culture ke khilaf baatcheet. Everything was there. I still remember when the committee was formed from the Aam Aadmi Party and the government to coordinate and formulate the Lokpal bill. Arvind Kejriwal used to come out and say that entire proceeding should be telecasted. So they demanded that kind of transparency. Now,
Yeah.
if you look back, if you take those words seriously, is there any accountability in the party? Is there any democracy in the party? Is there any transparency in the party? And where is that Ala Kaman culture they hated so much? Now everything has hinged on that, and that is why I'm saying I'm not criticizing Arvind Kejriwal. I'm saying the ideals you proposed at that point of time, and on the basis of those ideals, people had reposed faith in that movement. From where you had come to this pass. And when you come to this pass, then it is a crisis of your own making.
Okay, I want to play out just a very short clip of your podcast with us. For everyone and anyone in the audience who may have missed it, please do go back. It's a 60-minute in-depth conversation with Ashutosh, and you will find it very interesting. But for now, just a 1-minute clip. This is you talking about how you believed Arvind Kejriwal changed. Take a look. So you said politics changed Arvind. How was he and how did you see him change? Or how have you seen him change?
I think he was a very innocent person जब मैं उनसे मिला और उनका जो innocence था वो मुझे बहुत attract करता था क्योंकि at a very young age because he's an achiever बहुत कम उम्र में वो आईटी खड़गपुर पास कर गए फिर आईएएस एलाइड सर्विसेज में आईआरएस सर्विसेज में आ गए 33-35 साल की उम्र में उनको मैक्सेस अवार्ड भी मिल गया और जितनी बार मिलता तो मुझे लगता था ये आदमी तो बहुत ही हम्बल है और लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली के थे जबकि उनकी वाइफ आईआरएस थी तो आई ऑलवेज फाउंड हिम वेरी वेरी हम्बल एंड वेरी वेरी इनोसेंट अ वेरी इनोसेंट पर्सन पॉलिटिक्स ने धीरे धीरे जब अरविंद को अनफोल्ड किया तो दैट अरविंद और किसी दूसरे पॉलिटिशियन में मुझे ज़्यादा फर्क दिखाई नहीं पड़ा एंड देन आई रियलाइज दैट ही इज द ambition is probably his fatal flaw in his personality.
Ambition is possibly his fatal flaw. And in fact, you go on to say in the podcast that you felt that Arvind Kejriwal was very similar to the Prime Minister. They were both fueled by ambition and they both wanted to win at any cost. These are your words. Now, एक बात इस क्लिप में आपने कही कि जब पॉलिटिक्स ने उनको अनफोल्ड किया तो उनमें और किसी नेता में आपको कुछ ज्यादा फर्क नहीं दिखा तो क्या आप पहले गलत थे अरविंद केजरीवाल के बारे में जब आपने उनमें बिलीव किया कि क्या वो बदले आप गलत थे कि वो बदल गए
बरखा मैं अपनी किताब का एक वो दिखाना चाहता हूँ किताब में लिखा हुआ है द क्राउन प्रिंस द ग्लैडिएटर एंड द होप द क्राउन प्रिंस वाज राहुल गांधी द ग्लैडिएटर वाज मोदी एंड द होप वाज अरविंद केजरीवाल. This book was published in 2015, if I remember correctly. Yes, 2015. Yeah. And he was a hope. But over a period of time, I realized that there's so much similarities between Modi and Arvind Kejriwal that instead of writing the hope, I should have written the Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2. Arvind Kejriwal, like Modi, every battle is a matter of life and death. If he will not win, he will get very very disturbed. It's a trait which is very very similar in both the individuals, and that is it is this flaw which has finally has led to him what he is today.
Why is ambition wrong?
No, ambition is wrong. There's nothing wrong in ambitions. You and me, we all are ambitious persons. I have come from a very small town. If I didn't have the ambition, I wouldn't have come to the Delhi, and I wouldn't have been in journalism, and you wouldn't have been interviewing me. We all are ambitious person, and that's why we are here. But the fact is, when ambition is the only driving force, and for the fulfillment of the ambition, you are willing to do anything. That's where the problem lies. And it is this trait that come what may, I have to win. That is the problem with Mr. Narendra Modi, and that is a problem with Arvind Kejriwal.
Now, here's the question. Given everything you know about Arvind Kejriwal, you still haven't answered my question. Were you wrong in your assessment about him, or did politics change him?
I was wrong in my assessment, to be very honest, because as I said in your interview earlier, uh, I was very, very impressed with him, extremely impressed. And it was not that I was a teenager and was falling in love with somebody. Uh, I was a working journalist. I had an experience of almost 23, 24 years in journalism. I was an
Yeah.
editor for 8 years, and I was doing very well in my career. So it's
Yeah.
not that I was behaving like a teenager. So at that point of time, I realized that this man is out of the world. This man is, as his innocence was very, very infectious. I was more mesmerized by the innocence every time I talk to him. Every time I realize, oh, this man is out of the world. This man is so innocent. This man wants to innocently believe that this world can be changed. And if he believes that, why let's not join with him? But as politics is such a business that over a period of time, uh, he was appropriated by politics, and this fatal flaw that come what may, I have to win elections. And probably that time between he resigning as a chief minister in 40 days in 2014, losing all 7 seats in Delhi, and this was the time when this was the lowest time for the lowest point in Arvind Kejriwal's career and in Aam Aadmi Party's career. And I was there. I could feel that there was a serious thinking in the party that if we don't win this election, the whole movement will disappear and the whole party will disintegrate, and we'll be nowhere.
Yeah.
And it is
So
so uh, uh, probably it was this crisis of that level which has changed Arvind Kejriwal. And then he was faced with the inner rebellion in the party. I'm not blaming anybody, but everybody knows. He realized that there is a rebellion against him, and there are people who wants to unseat him and who wants to become the national convener. And it is combination of these things, that at one point he was losing hope that the party will disintegrate. At another point, he had to go to the jail. He was there for 7 days. Then he was facing the rebellion within the party itself. At least he perceived. The combination of all these three probably would have left him to change and reorient himself. I'm just
now,
only guessing.
Now, I want to ask you something. You spoke about the similarity, according to you, between the Prime Minister and the Delhi Chief Minister. Delhi itself, the national capital, is a very interesting political phenomena so far. If you look at the numbers of the Assembly results and the Lok Sabha results, and we'll have them in just a moment, the Aam Aadmi Party has continued to dominate politics at the level of Delhi itself as a local election, a state election. But at the Lok Sabha level, which you just mentioned, the BJP has swept. Now, this means that the people of Delhi like both Modi and Kejriwal, or have so far. This arrest, which way is it going to go politically? Now you're speaking as someone who's back to being a political analyst, back to being a journalist, but you also understand the Aam Aadmi Party. You understand politics. You've been on the inside of politics. Is this going to help or hurt the Aam Aadmi Party?
If the assembly elections are held right away, then he will sweep the elections. He will sweep the election. But in parliament election, I don't think it is going to cut much ice. I don't think so.
Explain why.
Because
Explain why.
because the pattern with Aam Aadmi Party is such that despite Aam Aadmi Party getting 67 seats, and in 2015, if you look at the 2014 parliamentary elections, Aam Aadmi Party was a blank, big zero. In 2019, again Aam Aadmi Party couldn't get a single seat, and their vote share was less than the Congress Party. But the same vote share jumps from 18% to 54%. That is the jump of almost 300% in assembly elections. So Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, is a darling of the Delhi people. And the people believe that Aam Aadmi Party is much better than the BJP and the Congress put together. But they also know that Aam Aadmi Party has no stakes in the national politics. And that is why in their own borough, Aam Aadmi Party has failed to win a single Lok Sabha seat, neither in 2014 nor in 2019. That's the only way to explain this. In assembly elections, if right now elections are held, Aam Aadmi Party will sweep. There is no doubt about it. But in parliament election, I have my doubts.
But the assembly elections are not being held right now. And the crisis you speak about is what happens to the party, what happens to the government. Now, Aam Aadmi Party says Arvind Kejriwal will remain the chief minister. वो कितने भी दिन उनको custody में हो, वो जेल में रहे, वो सरकार के मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे. His wife is, there was speculation that his wife may become the chief minister. That doesn't look like it's happening, though she did appear in public to release a video message on his behalf today. Do you believe this is tenable? We don't know yet what the courts are going to do. But suppose he is in custody for a prolonged period of time, like his other party colleagues, like Sanjay Singh, like Manish Sisodia. What happens then?
See, the theory of incapacitation will work over here, because a chief minister in jail, can he run the government? No, he can't. So it's good for rhetorics. I know that there is no constitutional guarantee that Arvind Kejriwal, there's nothing in constitution which stops him from functioning as a chief minister. But the fact of the matter is that the chief minister is a fulcrum of the administration. The whole government runs in his name. If he is in jail, that means he cannot function as a chief minister per se. He can't carry on with his daily routine of a chief minister. So that means he's incapacitated. If he's incapacitated, then the Lieutenant Governor will be in its right to write a letter to the Home Ministry and say that there is a total constitutional breakdown in Delhi. So either he can do that, either he can recommend that there should be the president rule in Delhi, or he can ask the assembly to elect a new leader. And if assembly still doesn't elect a new leader, then the central government will be in its own right, constitutional rights, to invoke Article 356 and impose president rule. And that is what is going to happen if Arvind Kejriwal doesn't resign and the party doesn't choose a new leader.
So let's talk about that. You are saying either Arvind Kejriwal resigns, the party chooses the new interim leader at least, or a new leader for the time being, or you believe, even as a critic of the Modi government, that if the LG then writes and recommends president's rule, you would support it. You would agree with that intervention.
It's not about me supporting it. This is how the things are going to unfold. This is what I believe right away.
No, we lost you there, Ashutosh. Just repeat that. I'm asking you if Kejriwal doesn't resign and the LG writes recommending president's rule, talking about a constitutional crisis, would you support that? Would you agree with that intervention?
Barkha, it is not the question of me supporting it. It's not a question that I am going to support it. This is how the situation is going to unfold. Just imagine. Nothing has stopped from Prime Minister from working from jail. But can a Prime Minister run the country from jail? So right. Same thing applies with the Chief Minister also. So a Chief Minister who is incapacitated, how can he discharge his duties as a Chief Minister? If he can't discharge his duty in the Chief Minister, the entire governance in Delhi will be in limbo. Can Delhi function without a government? So sooner or later, the central government has to intervene. I can understand that the central government will intervene after examining all the pros and cons, the political pros and cons. Only then it will intervene. So it might take some time, but that is how the situation is going to unfold.
But perhaps the AAP is waiting to see if they can get bail from the courts for Kejriwal.
If AAP is thinking, then there is something wrong with the Aam Aadmi Party. Manish Sisodia have not got bail for the last 13 months. Despite the Supreme Court observing that there is hardly any evidence, the case will not stand in the court of law. This is the Supreme Court observation. But the same Supreme Court has not given him bail, and it is almost more than 6 months. Sanjay Singh, who I believe that he has no direct involvement in this matter, but for the last 6 months, he is not getting bail. So the nature of the PMLA Act is such that Arvind Kejriwal is not going to get any relief from the court. Not going to get any relief from the court.
So finally, you're saying the AAP will have to elect a new leader sooner or later. And the problem is that the AAP hasn't created a new line of leadership, a second line of leadership.
Barkha, I should not be advising Aam Aadmi Party because Aam Aadmi Party has so much talent. But if I had been in the party right away, my priority would have been to save the government come what may. Save the government. If the government is not there, you know how powerful the BJP and the Modi is. 62 MLAs creating a 2/3 split is so simple. It's so simple. When the Shiv Sena can face that, despite Sharad Pawar, NCP can face that. What is Aam Aadmi Party when its top leaders are in the? So the whole party will disintegrate. So their first priority should be to save government come what may. They should elect a leader. See, it's sometimes we feel that these are the leaders which are seen on the horizons are not as competent as they should be, but you never know. The
So
Paneer Selvam ran government in the absence of Jayalalitha. Rabri Devi ran government in the absence of Lalu Prasad Yadav. So the leaders which we see in Aam Aadmi Party today, they are more suave, they're more urbane, they're more literate than all of them. So they can run the government. It's not that they can't run the government. But whether they have whether the Arvind Kejriwal feels like that way, I don't know.
okay, last question. Impact on opposition. Now, the BJP has pulled out a letter that Delhi Congress wrote asking for an investigation in this Delhi liquor case, right? The Central Congress had to really persuade and pressurize its Delhi Congress unit into accepting this partnership with Kejriwal for these elections, understandably so. Given that, do you believe that there is any long-term impact, a sympathy factor that goes beyond assembly elections in Delhi? Do you believe this can re-energize the opposition, or do you believe this weakens the opposition even further?
I think this is the golden opportunity for entire opposition to go beyond what is conventional. Because these are exceptional situations, and if opposition is still thinking in terms of giving petitions to the election commission, giving meeting to the president, it will not lead anywhere. They have to they have to think out of the box, and they have to do something like this. Can they think on those lines that let's boycott the entire election? Can they take a vow and say that we all are sitting at the Gandhi Samadhi and will not get up unless there is assurance that the elections will be held in a proper manner? So something of those kind needs to be done. If just going to the election commission's prime minister petitioning here and going to the Supreme Court, that will not cut very ice. That will not cut much ice.
But this idea that you have opposition boycotting the polls, उससे क्या होगा? उनके जो गिने चुने MPs हैं वो भी नहीं आएंगे.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm only saying you have to think out of the box so that let the entire nation, the nation should start thinking. There's something that something wrong happening with the opposition, something wrong happening with the Indian democracy, something wrong is happening with the constitution. That one idea is needed. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that they should boycott elections. I'm only saying they have to come out with some out-of-the-box idea which catches the imagination of the people, and people of this country start thinking there is something wrong with the Indian democratic setup. Can they do that? Look, 145 MPs were suspended. What the party did? Nothing. That opportunity
they started the Gandhi statue as they offered to. Bas.
Yeah. And in 1989, look what happened. And the major opposition political party, they resigned. And that's what led to the entire nation start thinking something is wrong. So unless you catches the imagination of the people, they have to realize that this is an exceptional situation. They need exceptional solutions.
आपने कहा कि एम्बिशन, आपने पहले हमसे कहा पॉडकास्ट पे कि अरविंद केजरीवाल का फेटल फ्लॉ है उनकी एम्बिशन ये भी थी कि आम आदमी पार्टी नेशनल पार्टी बने. इट डिडंट यील्ड रिजल्ट्स इन गुजरात, गोवा, बट इट डिड गिव देम अ स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब. डू यू बिलीव अरविंद केजरीवाल स्टैचर और प्रोफाइल एज अ नेशनल ब्रांड has increased or diminished after this arrest?
I don't think it's going anywhere. He committed two mistakes. One, he shouldn't have waited for 8 summons. He shouldn't have waited for the High Court to not let him give any relief.
Yeah.
When the first summons, he would have dared ED that I have committed no wrong. I'm coming to you, interrogate me, arrest me, whatever you feel like. The way Sharad Pawar did in the Bihar Assembly, in Maharashtra Assembly elections, and that's then immediately ED backed out. Yeah. After 8 summons, you are not appearing. The perception is the BJP is very good in creating perception. There is something wrong. That's why he's running away. He's not facing the investigating agencies. And secondly, the ED gets an upper hand when High Court refuses to give him any relief. So
that's right.
And BJP is very good in terms of creating narrative and taking it to the people.
So is it the end of AAP?
I don't think so. It's the end of the AAP, but it's a very serious crisis. It's definitely very serious crisis.
Okay, Ashutosh, we leave it there for our audience. Do watch Ashutosh's podcast, Inside Out with Us. It's a 60-minute in-depth conversation about the history of the AAP, the Anna Hazare movement, Modi, Congress, and much else there. Ashutosh, always a pleasure. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mojo's Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.